Deathworlder cadets decimate a 10-year galactic war simulation in under an hour. The Galactic War College auditorium hummed with anticipation as hundreds of alien cadets filled the rows, their eyes locked on the flickering holographic battlefield. The tension was palpable, a charged stillness that signaled the gravity of the moment. At the front, Admiral Colvan, a towering insectoid with iridescent mandibles, scanned the assembly with a piercing gaze. Among the sea of aliens sat the small contingent of humans, Deathworlders, as the galaxy called them. To many, their presence was an enigma, a curiosity among seasoned strategists. How could a species from a planet of relentless chaos compete with civilizations that had mastered war for millennia? Cadets, Admiral Colvan's voice carried across the chamber with precision. Today, you will face the ultimate challenge, ending a decade-long galactic war simulation. Your objective: achieve complete resolution without breaching galactic accords. Begin. Ava Brennan, seated in the front row, shared a knowing glance with her squadmate, Sergeant Dwayne Carter, a towering figure whose uniform barely contained his frame. 10 years. We can wrap this up before lunch. Carter smirked. Let's do it. As the simulation booted up, the holographic battlefield expanded, revealing vast territories, strategic stations, and fleets locked in a stalemate. The alien cadets leaned forward, whispering theories and calculations. Meanwhile, Ava stretched lazily. All right, team, she said, tapping her console. Time to turn up the heat. Carter, deploy quick strikes and disinformation. Let's dismantle them from the inside. Carter grinned. On it, Lieutenant Chaos coming right up. Gasps echoed as Ava's forces launched what seemed like a reckless assault on an insignificant supply line. Laughter from their competitors was short-lived as the true impact unfolded. What are they doing? A reptilian cadet muttered. Ava leaned in. Cut the supply, and you cut the fight. Within minutes, the enemy's logistical network collapsed, and desertions followed. Meanwhile, Ava's team deployed infiltration units, feeding false intelligence and dismantling enemy cohesion. They're falling apart, an avian cadet whispered, eyes wide. Ava smiled. Strategy isn't about brute force, it's about control. Admiral Colvan's eyes narrowed. The human tactics were unconventional, unpredictable. They wielded war like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. As the battle raged, Ava's squad introduced psychological warfare, broadcasting fake reports, manipulating alliances, and sowing discord with pinpoint accuracy. LT, our agents infiltrated their high command, Carter reported. One whisper, and they're done. Ava's eyes gleamed. Make it count. In under an hour, the simulated war collapsed. Entire fleets surrendered, alliances shattered, and the enemy forces spiraled into chaos. A stunned silence filled the room. Ava stretched and checked the clock. 3 minutes over my estimate. Not bad. Admiral Colvan stepped forward, his mandibles twitching. Impossible. How? Ava shrugged. We don't fight wars. We end them. Carter gave an exaggerated salute. War crimes? Never heard of them. The alien cadets sat in a mix of awe and horror. Even Admiral Colvan, after a moment, managed a grudging nod. Cadet Brennan, he said slowly, your species is terrifying. Ava grinned. We hear that a lot. The stunned silence that followed their victory didn't last long. Within moments, the alien cadets burst into frantic discussions, their disbelief palpable. Ava Brennan stretched her legs out, drumming her fingers on the desk, a satisfied smirk playing at her lips as she took in the reaction. Carter sat beside her, twirling a stylus, his expression unreadable. Admiral Colvan's mandibles clicked furiously as he studied the data pouring across his console. Cadet Brennan, he finally said, his voice echoing through the auditorium, explain. Ava exchanged a glance with Carter before standing up, brushing imaginary dust off her uniform. Explain what, sir? We ended the war. Wasn't that the assignment? Colvan's compound eyes glowed with something between fascination and irritation. Your methods were unorthodox. Disruptive to conventional strategic doctrine. Ava shrugged. That's humans for you. We don't fight wars by the book. We write our own and make sure everyone else reads it. Before Colvan could respond, a holographic notification pulsed in the air above the central console. The words "New Scenario Initiated" blinked ominously. A low murmur spread through the room, alien cadets exchanging uneasy glances. Admiral, one of the instructors, a tall avian with sleek blue feathers, spoke up. "This is highly irregular. The scenario should have concluded." Colvan's mandibles twitched. "It appears the system has recognized the anomaly and generated a countermeasure." His multifaceted eyes locked onto Ava. "Cadet Brennan, your team will face an immediate rematch. This time, the simulation will adapt to your tactics." Ava smirked. "Let's see if we can end it even faster." As the simulation reloaded, the battlefield expanded beyond its previous limits. New factions emerged, each with their own agendas, unforeseen environmental hazards, and complex diplomatic entanglements. The stakes had risen, and Ava's team would need to adapt. "All right, team," she said, her voice laced with anticipation. "Let's get creative. Carter, I want rapid division of our forces. Hit multiple weak points at once. Overload their sensors, force them into reactive defense." Carter nodded. "On it. We'll run 'em ragged." "Emma," Ava called to their communications expert, "start feeding false data through diplomatic channels. Make them question their allies. Confusion is our ally." Emma grinned. Time to make some diplomatic incidents. Their tactics swiftly took effect. False intelligence reports flooded enemy networks, convincing rival factions to turn on each other. At the same time, Carter's rapid assaults stretched the opposing forces thin, exposing vulnerabilities. But the simulation had learned. The enemy forces reorganized faster than expected, countering human unpredictability. A sudden counterattack blindsided one of Ava's forward units, cutting them off from supply lines. "Damn," Carter muttered. "They're catching on." Ava's eyes narrowed. "Then we change the game again." She quickly input a series of commands, deploying decoy units equipped with simulated distress beacons. The enemy fell for it, diverting their forces into an ambush. The aliens observing from the auditorium watched in stunned silence. Ava's squad moved faster than their processors could analyze, crafting a battlefield of chaos and deception where every move appeared both reckless and calculated. As the war escalated, Ava knew they couldn't rely solely on brute force. She leaned over to Emma. "Spread rumors about internal corruption in their leadership. Make them doubt their own command structure." "Consider it done," Emma said, fingers flying across her console. Cracks splintered through their defenses, widening with each passing moment. The enemy's command became disjointed, paranoia creeping into their ranks. Fleets moved erratically, ground forces hesitated, and their once solid alliance fragmented. "Carter," Ava said, "final phase. I want a full-scale assault on their capital. Hit 'em hard and fast before they recover." With a nod, Carter relayed the orders, and within minutes, the battlefield was ablaze. The enemy's disjointed forces crumbled under the relentless assault, their defenses overwhelmed by Ava's ruthless efficiency. Exactly 48 minutes later, the war was over. Again. Ava leaned forward slightly, tapping her fingers against the console with a knowing grin. "All right, Admiral, that one was faster. What's next?" The simulation chamber was silent except for the hum of the holographic displays, casting eerie glows over the assembled cadets. Ava Brennan's heart pounded, but she maintained an unyielding mask of confidence, hiding the tension beneath. Across the chamber, Admiral Colvan's mandibles clicked rhythmically, his multifaceted eyes studying the humans with a predatory curiosity. "Cadet Brennan," Colvan's voice reverberated through the chamber, "your previous victories have been impressive. But simulations evolve. Are you ready to adapt?" Ava met his gaze, unflinching. "Always, Admiral." The lights dimmed, and a new scenario flickered into existence. The battlefield sprawled across multiple planets, teeming with interconnected forces, shifting alliances, and unpredictable environmental hazards. This time, their adversaries were not merely rival fleets but insurgent cells, mercenaries, and opportunistic factions capitalizing on the chaos. "This isn't just war anymore," Emma murmured, scanning the data. "This is survival politics." "Good," Ava said with a grin. Carter, we're going full spectrum dominance. We don't just hit their forces, we hit their morale, their logistics, and their alliances. Carter acknowledged with a quick nod, his fingers dancing over the console in smooth, calculated motions. Let's turn them against each other before they even realize we're in the game. The human team split their forces into micro-units, infiltrating deep into enemy territory under false identities. Psychological warfare took center stage, spreading misinformation, planting doubts, and fueling rivalries among enemy factions. Reports flooded in. Enemy supply lines compromised, Emma announced, her voice tight with focus. They're blaming each other. Perfect, Ava replied. Now we bleed them dry. Carter, deploy rapid strike teams to key installations, precision hits only. Minimal engagement. The alien forces, unprepared for such guerrilla tactics, scrambled to respond. Distrust spread like wildfire. Entire fleets hesitated, unsure if their allies were truly allies. Suddenly, the enemy command structure adapted. Counterintelligence networks sprang to life, and Ava's misinformation was being traced back to their sources. Defensive choke points appeared across vital supply routes. They're catching on, Carter muttered, eyes narrowing. Ava smirked. Let them think they've caught us. Emma, prepare a false retreat. Pull back just enough to lure them into our trap. Moments later, human forces withdrew in carefully orchestrated patterns, feigning disorder. The alien coalition surged forward in pursuit, their fractured alliances temporarily united against a common foe. Now, Ava said, voice calm but decisive. Blinding flashes erupted across the battlefield. Sabotage missions struck with pinpoint accuracy, rippling shockwaves through enemy lines. Entire fleets found themselves stranded without fuel, their supply lines severed by carefully orchestrated human deception. Back in the chamber, murmurs of disbelief rippled through the observing alien cadets. The simulation's AI, adaptive and ruthless, struggled to counter the sheer unpredictability of the humans. But then, the system escalated again. Unseen enemy reinforcements appeared, advanced units capable of independent thought, unhindered by fear or doubt. Their precision strikes targeted human infiltration points with alarming accuracy. We're exposed, Emma warned. Their AI has learned too much. Ava took a breath. Then we take it to the next level. Carter, deploy scorched earth tactics. We hit hard, disappear, and leave nothing behind. Coordinated assaults erupted across the battlefield. Human forces abandoned positions, leaving behind false data and empty husks. The enemy chased ghosts, wasting resources on chasing illusions. After another grueling 30 minutes, the simulated war ground to a halt. Victory achieved, the system declared. The chamber filled with applause, but Ava couldn't shake the feeling that Admiral Colvan was analyzing them, his calculating gaze hiding thoughts she couldn't read. You have won again, Cadet Brennan, he said slowly. But tell me, do you believe there is honor in such tactics? Ava tilted her head slightly. Honor doesn't win wars, Admiral. Survival does. And survival means outthinking, outlasting, and outmaneuvering. Colvan studied her, then nodded. Perhaps you humans are not as reckless as we thought. Dismissed. As the human team left the chamber, Ava turned to Carter. We keep proving ourselves, but they'll never stop testing us. Carter smirked, his eyes glinting with resolve. That's how we stay 2 steps ahead. The applause in the room gradually died down, but the weight of what had just transpired lingered. Ava Brennan stood at attention, the weight of 100 gazes pressing against her, a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and uncertainty hanging thick in the air. Some watched in admiration, others in thinly veiled concern. Admiral Colvan's mandibles twitched thoughtfully as he studied the human team. You have shown us a new way of thinking, he finally said, his voice carrying a note of both respect and apprehension. Your strategies are unsettling in their effectiveness. Ava met his gaze without hesitation. War isn't about playing fair, Admiral. It's about survival. And survival means adapting faster than your opponent. Colvan nodded slowly. Indeed. But tell me, Cadet Brennan, Do you think such methods have a place in a united galaxy? Can war ever truly be won when trust is the first casualty? Ava took a breath, her usual smirk giving way to something more introspective. Sir, trust is important, but it's earned, not given. Conflict strips away illusions and shows us who we truly are, pushing us to grow in ways we never imagined. If we want peace, we have to understand that sometimes the only way to achieve it is by outthinking those who threaten it. Colvan regarded her for a moment before stepping aside. You've completed the simulation. But your real test begins now, proving that humanity can be more than warriors. Can you lead? Can you unite? Time will tell. Ava exchanged glances with her team. Carter gave her a reassuring nod, while Emma crossed her arms thoughtfully. They all understood the gravity of the Admiral's words. We'll show you, Admiral, Ava said firmly. We're not just fighters. We're builders, problem solvers, and survivors. War is just one challenge, what comes next will define us even more. Colvan's mandibles twitched again, this time in what could almost be considered approval. Then I look forward to seeing what humanity can truly accomplish. Dismissed. As the human team walked out of the auditorium, whispers followed in their wake. Some alien cadets looked at them with newfound respect, others with lingering wariness. But Ava didn't care. She had done what needed to be done. Outside, under the artificial sky of the War College campus, Carter gave her a sideways glance and smirked. You know, LT, I think we just changed the way the galaxy sees us. Ava chuckled. Yeah, but we also showed them something else. We're not just here to fight, we're here to survive, thrive, and teach them a thing or two about resilience. Emma smirked. And maybe break a few rules along the way. Ava glanced up at the sky, her expression thoughtful. Maybe. But if there's one thing humanity knows how to do, it's adapt. As they walked toward their barracks, a shared sense of purpose filled the air, each step resonating with the resolve to prove themselves beyond the battlefield. The galaxy had seen what humans were capable of, but the true challenge was just beginning. The lesson was clear: survival isn't just about strength, it's about resilience, ingenuity, and the will to forge a better future, no matter the odds.